Parasympathetic system. Parasympathetic system, rest and digest, sexual arousal, salivation, lacrimation, tears, urination, digestion, and defecation. Acetylcholine is the main neurotransmitter for parasympathetic. Somatic nervous system. Somatic, motor and sensory neurons. Auxins. Auxins, plant hormone involved in root growth and stem elongation. Astrocytes. Astrocytes, macrolia cells that regulate the external chemical environment, K+, neurotransmitters, and more. Oligodendrocytes. Oligodendrocytes make up myelin sheath, or make myelin sheath. Radial glial act as scaffold of newborn neurons to migrate in a developing brain. Satellite cells. Satellite cells surround neurons in sensory, sympathetic, and parasympathetic systems. Same role as astrocytes. Teeth in adults. There are 8 incisors, 4 canines, 8 premolars, and 12 molars. Cytochromes, compound consisting of heme bonded to a protein, electron transfer agent in the electron transport chain. Ontogenesis, the development of an organism from earliest stage to maturity. Glycosidase, enzyme that catalyzes the hydrolysis of a bond joining a sugar of a glycoside to an alcohol or other sugar unit. Aryl sulfatase, an enzyme that breaks down lipids called sulfate esters. MHC, major histocompatibility complex. Major histocompatibility complex distinguishes self from non-self, responsible for stimulating the rejection of grafts and transplants, triggers a T cell, cell-mediated response. Hershey-Chase experiment. Hershey-Chase experiment, radioactive SP to see if protein or DNA was genetic material. Used bacteriophages. Avery-McLeod. Avery and McLeod did an experiment where the R and S bacteria injected into mice proved that DNA is genetic material. Chemotroph, organism that obtains energy by the oxidation of electron donors in their environments. Secretin released into bloodstream by duodenum in response to acidity. Stimulates liver and pancreatic secretion. Glucocorticoid, any corticosteroid that is involved in the metabolism of carbs, proteins, and fats, and have anti-inflammatory activity. Chemoreceptors, specialized structures on walls of major arteries that monitor H+, CO2, and O2 levels. Acrosome reaction. The acrosome reaction is the process and interaction through which sperm use the acrosome to penetrate the zona pellucida. Slope is the equation y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Septate junctions. Septate junctions, intracellular junctions found in invertebrate epithelial cells, ladder-like structural strength, and prevent, looks like it says something about diffusion. Vertebral column. Vertebral column, cervical, there's 7, thoracic, 12, lumbar, 5, sacrum, 5, fused, coccyx, 3 fused, archenteron, primitive gut, in development. Choanocytes, what sponges use to trap food particles. Flame cell. Flame cells involved with removal of water in worms. Kupffer cells. Kupffer cells specialize macrophages of the liver lining the sinusoids in the liver, involved in the breakdown of red blood cells. Chondrocyte. Chondrocyte cell that has secreted matrix of cartilage and become embedded in it. Juxtaglomerular apparatus. The juxtaglomerular apparatus is a microscopic structure in kidney that regulates nephrons. Functional units of kidneys secretes renin, which regulates something. The photoelectric effect. The photoelectric effect is when metals emit electrons when light shines on them. The Bohr effect. The Bohr effect, hemoglobins decrease affinity for oxygen in an acidic solution. Higher change in S means what? More random or a more complex molecule. Ecdysone. Ecdysone. Hormone involved in insect molting and metamorphosis. Exocrine. Exocrine, products secreted into epithelium. Endocrine, products secreted into the bloodstream. Small intestine. Small intestine, duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. Angiosperm. Angiosperm, a plant that has flowers and produces seeds enclosed within a carpel. Examples are herbaceous plants, shrubs, grasses, and most trees. Double fertilization occurs. Remember, that is angiosperms. Chordates have what? Pharyngeal pouches and a notochord and a dorsal tubular nerve cord. Medullary cavity. Medullary cavity, also known as marrow cavity. Central cavity of bones contains red bone marrow and or yellow bone marrow adipose tissue. Ornithine cycle. Ornithine cycle produces urea from ammonia in the liver. Ethanol fermentation. Ethanol fermentation looks like it is when you have glucose, which is C6H12 O6, glucose turning into pyruvate. You get 2-pyruvate, which is C2H5OH, and 2 CO2s, along with those 2 pyruvates. Okay, you get the lactic, homolactic. You might just want to check out these equations really quick. I'll hold this card for a second. Yeah. So that was ethanol fermentation and lactic acid fermentation. Might be good to know what's being produced there. Okay. Colchicine. Colchicine blocks mitotic cycle by inhibiting microtubule activity, also a medicine for gout disease. Jaundice. Jaundice caused by excess bilirubin. Hybridoma. A hybridoma, lymphocyte and myeloma cell. Prostaglandins. Prostaglandins, modified fatty acids which help induce fever, pain, and inflammation. Do you want to go turn